Hey guys, it's Melanie. Welcome back to the second in-depth candle review of the day. If you missed it a little bit earlier, I shared my in-depth review of the Kringle Country Candle Cran Apple Toddy fragrance. I will go ahead and link that review in the description box right below this one here if you are interested in my thoughts. I wasn't crazy impressed with the fragrance itself, and the performance was a little bit iffy. So if you are personally thinking about picking that one up, your feelings might be different about the fragrance profile. But I did definitely want to make sure that people were aware of my experience, specifically with the strength and throw of that one, before popping it into their cart. So yeah, again, I'll link that in the description box down below. In this video, we're talking about another country candle fragrance, and this is Fireside Chai. Now, this one is kind of interesting. This one is actually not on sale. The Cran Apple Toddy, after I was looking at the current sale that's happening, I think that is falling under the apple and pumpkin fragrance situation that is currently $5 off. So Kringle is having a sale specifically on pumpkin and apple scents, and so they popped that one under that. This Fireside Chai is not on sale yet, but if you are familiar with how Kringle typically releases their new collections, they tend to not go on sale for the first couple of months after the release. Sometimes, after about a month or a month and a half, they'll go ahead and start putting them on sale, but it usually takes them just a little while to start including them. So I do anticipate that Fireside Chai will be included in some sales here within the next few weeks, so keep an eye out if you are interested in this one. If you'd like to pick it up earlier, you can use my discount code Melanie15. That'll save you 15% off of pretty much most candles on the Kringle website. It doesn't work with all of their sales, but it will work with some of them. So anyway, if you're interested, the information will be down below. But let's dig into this Fireside Chai. Now, when I was first initially sniffing through these new holiday candles when they were sent to me in PR, by the way, thank you to Kringle for doing that. It is always appreciated. When I was first smelling through these, I think I was a little bit perplexed by this being called a chai fragrance, because it really does not smell like a chai fragrance. Sorry if you can hear my washing machine singing in the background. It just finished a load there. But yeah, when I think of chai, I think of a base of probably black tea, and then those typical chai spices of, cinnamon, nutmeg, cardamom, just what basically a chai latte or a chai, drink would smell like. I love me some chai, so but this is definitely not a chai fragrance. So let's dig in. I'm going to read through the scent description here. I will list the fragrance notes. I'll tell you what I actually detect in this. We'll do the strength, the throw, the overall burn quality, and then obviously talk about any issues here. So Fireside Chai. The alluring scent of soft, billowing wood smoke lingering over a spiced medley of warm cardamom, sparkling ginger, fragrant black pepper, and crushed cinnamon. The top notes here are bourbon and cider. The mid notes are wood smoke and wood, and the base is amber and spice. So we definitely have the spice component, which is definitely a part of a chai experience when you're drinking one. But this really predominantly, to my nose, smells like it smells more like a cider, like a slightly woody cider than it does a chai. So if you're looking for a kind of spicy holiday chai with a little bit of woodiness to it, then this might definitely be right up your alley. But I just kind of feel like it's misnamed personally. Do I detect the bourbon in here? I know a lot of people like me are kind of sensitive to the boozy notes, and I don't get any boozy notes from this at all. The bourbon just doesn't really exist to my nose. I do smell that cider note. It is a very distinct, I would say almost fall-like cider note. I do get a little bit of woodiness from this one for sure. So that wood note is present here. It's not super potent or aggressive. The cider definitely overpowers that wood note, but it is lingering in the background. Now, this wood smoke is kind of an interesting component here. Wood smoke, I feel like, has been used a lot by Kringle throughout not only their fall releases this year, but also in a lot of their Halloween scents. So I feel like I have become quite familiar with this wood smoke note, and I do smell that same wood smoke note in this fragrance. It's just a little bit of like, almost like a touch of like a really light kind of liquid smoke. I don't know, maybe liquid smoke isn't the right way to explain it, but because liquid smoke smells really smoky usually, think a much lighter version of that, but there is a hint of that like smokiness in here. It's not really like a hearth type note or like a charred wood per se. More along the lines of, like I said, maybe just a little hint of like a liquid type smoke. The amber here, really, usually I can pick out the amber in these Kringle and Country Candle fragrances because it tends to be just one of my favorite notes from them, to be quite honest. But I actually don't smell any amber in this at all. I do get the spice in here, but the spices that I'm smelling are the typical cider type spices, right? So you've got that cinnamon in there. You've got a little bit of that cardamom for sure. There is a touch of ginger. I will say that I do smell the ginger. This does not smell like it really has any black pepper. There's no black pepper bite in this at all. So, you know, I think I'm thinking here that it's mostly like the typical, like I said, fall cider type spices that are in here. I like the spice note a lot. I have to say, I do actually like this fragrance, but it's just not what I was expecting it to be. I would have really liked an actual chai fragrance for the holidays. I think that would have been kind of unique and interesting, but that's just not what this is. This is more of like a slightly smoky, slightly woody cider type fragrance more than it is a chai. So it is, I do actually enjoy this fragrance profile, but I have to say, for the first, I would say probably 4 burns, there was a really interesting, slightly acidic, I would say borderline vinegariness coming through that just made no sense in this fragrance at all. And I was trying to figure out like what part of the fragrance would give that off. And I think maybe it was a combination of like a touch of that ginger, maybe mixed with the wood smoke, but I don't even know if that was it. It was just this really interesting, like I said, just hint of vinegar. It didn't entirely like take over the fragrance, but it was there. Oddly enough though, now that I am just about getting ready to hit the halfway point with this one, I don't smell that vinegary note anymore, which is really interesting. Now I'm smelling more of, you know, what I was describing before. Strength and throw here, however, are still a disappointment. Listen, we are going to finish it on a positive with the last video today with one of the new holiday fragrances. But unfortunately, with the strength and throw of this one, I'm gonna have to put that at about like between a 4 and a 5 for both strength and throw for this one. This is one where I'm going to pop it into my candle crock after the review. I actually really like the fragrance, so I want to continue enjoying it. But I think I'm going to get much more out of it by popping it into a candle crock, which will then allow all of those, all of that wax and all of those fragrance oils to kind of release at once. And I think that that is going to amp up the fragrance output here for sure. So it's a yummy enough fragrance to where I think I'm going to be able to enjoy it a little bit more that way versus continuing to burn it. Because if this was going to kick in with an amped up strength and throw, it should have done it by this point. So I just don't think it's ever going to really pick up. So that being said, I'm gonna give this a thumbs up for the fragrance, but probably not so much for the strength and throw. So it bums me out to do that because this is a nice fragrance. I will say that. Again, I do wish they would have gone with an actual chai, but if you want to call this a fireside cider, I feel like that might be a little bit more accurate. In terms of the overall burn quality, I have not had any issues with these wicks. I obviously have not had any issues with discoloration. As you can see here, you know, like there's no like soot or anything that has started to accumulate on the top. I do get questions sometimes about how long I burn these candles. So if you're new around here, with the vast majority of candles, except for the Kringle classic jars, I typically limit the burn to about 3 to 4 hours. So each burn that I have done with this Fireside chai has been probably 4.5 hours. So with that, I have not seen any issues with wicks, any issues with sooting, any issues with the carbon kind of dropping back down into the wax from the wicks. I'm not having those issues. So I think my main beef here is the strength and throw, which typically is much better with country candles. So that's a little bit of a bummer, but I will go ahead and I will pop this one into a candle crock. I'm gonna update you guys in the weekly home fragrance roundup. So if you're new around here, definitely subscribe. I do always update after I post my reviews during that weekly video. So check back in. I'll let you guys know how it goes with this one and the crock. I'm not sure if I'm going to pop it into a crock this next week. I might be able to. My pumpkin carving in the back bedroom is starting to wind down, so I might go ahead and just pop this one back there. Yeah, I don't know. I like the scent. I just don't think that the strength and throw is where I would like it to be, so I probably won't repurchase this one. And I don't know that I would pick this up in the wax melts right now because it smells a little bit more fall-like than it does holiday-like to me. So it makes sense for me to melt this one during the month of October and kind of into early November. When I'm thinking of holiday candles, I like to, you know, think maybe more about like gingerbread, sugar plums, holiday tree notes, you know, even certain like gourmands like cookie scents and things like that. But this type of like cider type scent, I think makes a little more sense in my eyes during the fall months. So for what it's worth, I'm still going to give this one a thumbs up for being a great scent, but the performance overall really could use a little bit of improvement. So anyway, we have one more review coming up a little bit later on today, so stay tuned for that. And that one's going to be a little bit more positive. So yeah, again, if you are new around here, definitely take the time to subscribe. There are lots and lots of holiday and Christmas candle reviews coming up. So if you're into that kind of stuff, take the time to stick around, and you'll be seeing more of that. So I appreciate you being here, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Toodaloo.